Good kind.
We
We.
like it when we're funny, but it's a funny thing about the we.
We.
The we makes me act funny.
Funny.
But not good funny.
Not good funny, no. So welcome to the We Talks. This is our second episode of our podcast, the We Talks, where we talk about the we. We talk about the we because we tried to get the we to talk with Larry, but he got so not funny, that it was impossible, and they said, no, we're not doing it.
It was the worst.
The worst.
There was this filter I turned on, remember?
Yes.
That made our faces all weird.
And then you spoke for 2 hours straight without letting the we say a word. Every now and then they would say, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. It didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
So when you say we're going to talk about the we,
it means Larry and
I think
Inelia.
that it means that the we are going to talk about the we.
No.
But it's not. It's we, you and I are going to talk about the we.
Larry and Inelia are going to talk about the we.
Maybe the we will come in. Maybe they won't come in. No, they definitely wrote.
They did, yeah. So I speak about the we in the third person because it just makes it easier.
Yes.
It makes it easier to understand. But like on our first episode, if you haven't listened to it yet, I would go ahead and go to the blog.thewetalks.com, and then there's a little bit there that will show you where the podcast is.
Yeah, there's a few articles.
These are the articles, yeah. And read the articles, read all about it. You can also just go thewetalks.com, and there's actually a whole intro version part of I write about the we, and the we write about themselves, and the whole intro into the we. So if you're not familiar, this is first episode you listen to episode 1.
Yep, this is episode 2.
This is episode 2, pre-birth.
Right. And you'll find these things at Substack.
Yeah.
So if you go Substack and then type Inelia Benz in the search, the We Talks will show right up.
Yep. Or you can go to blog.thewetalks.com.
Which is the same place.
It's the same place. Yes. All right, let's talk about the pre-birth. So I thought we usually in our podcasts, a lot of the times, I read part of the article that we're talking about, and then we discuss it. Do you want to follow that same path?
Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to go funny?
No.
You're not going to go funny?
No. I'm very serious, honey.
You are? Okay. Yes, you look very serious. You have an Indian smile.
Mm-hmm.
Indian as in Native American Indian smile.
Yes.
Very stoic.
I'm smiling inside, honey.
I still remember that time when you and your mom, I was going to take a photo of you guys. And I said, okay, smile. And you both put really like serious, stoic faces on. And I'm like, I said, smile. And you looked at each other and like, what?
We are.
Yeah,
that was quite mean.
Yes, very Native American.
So it would be reasonable before we start the article, because this is pre-birth, right?
Yes.
Let's just basically touch on the pre-birth reality. It's what's real about pre-birth for me. I'm a human.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, my understanding is that, let's set up a couple of parameters.
Okay.
For a human being, that would be who are listening to this, I'm sure. 99.999% of us are all human beings.
87.96% of people beings who listen to this podcast are human.
Well, I'm just talking to the human parts. The non-human parts, I mean, I can talk to all of y'all. All y'all just listen.
Okay.
When y'all, the human being is a soul
In a
being,
with a
and a
body.
physical being joined together.
Yes.
The physical being is a more solid version of what the subtle soul being might be considered to be.
Yes.
They have individual and unique paths of existence.
Yes.
This physical body part, the one that we're looking at on the video screen, most all of us are looking at the physical part. We don't see the non-physical part.
Right.
That physical part is your physical body elemental.
Yes.
The non-physical part is really the same as the physical part, only subtler, with its own trajectory. So these two bodies are joined together.
Yes.
You would consider the human body part tweaked a little bit so that it can accept a soul body in a cooperative agreeable, symbiotic experience.
Yeah.
Right. So most people might not realize that there was tweaking required. And then the first question they'll ask, well, who did the tweaking? And that's an entire story. We talk about those kind of things on our other podcast, right?
We do.
Which is titled Driving to the Res. So,
Driving to the Res.
We can talk about that ad infinitum. But in a basic sense, your physical body is a tweaked physical body that accepts a soul body in a symbiotic relationship. And when you're going to join up to have an experience before you're born, you start having this conversation. And physical bodies have an existence that isn't the manifested body that you see and we're listening to. It also is dissolved into, it's not a physical manifestation at the moment, but it still has persistence and existence.
It does.
And it's that persistence and existence in communication with a soul body that the arrangements for a birth are, brought to be.
Yes.
Right. Okay, then. So we're going to talk about the pre-birth part for the we, which are not a soul.
Right.
And they're not a physical body.
Right.
But you are here, nonetheless, speaking to us.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I am.
We are?
That
was irresistible, honey.
Don't get funny. Don't get funny, honey.
It's irresistible, really, truly.
Yes, we are. Because, like in a first episode, I tried to explain, I talk about the we in the third person, but there is no separation for me between the I and the we anymore, right? And originally, we were just the we, and then the creation of a singular identity, Inelia, came about, right? And then that had to be allowed to develop within the human society, so it could function as a person. But there was never really a separation. And most of the time, even growing up, was spent as we, although, it's like learning to drive and all that. You need to be very singular. And so that we never learned to drive. So anyways, going back to pre-birth.
Let's just talk about this little chunk of it.
The first paragraph. We recently, in the past 9 years, realized that Inelia wasn't our idea. This came about as a shock, as we thought we had the original and exciting idea of gathering data of what it's like to be a singular person and then going on to create one so we could incarnate on Earth.
Not your idea.
It was not the we's idea. And this brings us, just unpacking that paragraph, right? Brings us into a thing that I don't often ask people, but it's like, if I say, Larry.
Yes.
Was it your idea to become a singular person and be born on Earth? What do you get if you try that question?
I get no. That's really kind of strange.
Isn't that strange? Because you hadn't even thought about that. Wait,
that's not even a question I ever thought.
Exactly.
Well,
that's
ever
why I wanted us
thinking.
to do the podcast part, because I want to unpack what's being expressed in these ramblings ons by the we, right? Because they're not ramblings. They're quite...
It's a profound statement that you don't even think to ask, and then when you do, and then you find the answer, and then you double check it.
You go, oh.
Go, wow, that's totally unexpected.
Yeah. So if you dig a little bit deeper into that question, if I said, who was it then who had that original idea of you becoming a singular being called Larry on Earth for many lifetimes? Maybe not called Larry. Many different names you used in different incarnations, right? But even in the physical universe, singular being, soul, incarnating over and over, or even becoming a singular soul. Whose idea was it? Or what's idea was it?
Well, for here was Gaia's, and for in general was Light's.
Light?
It was a group decision.
Yes, isn't that interesting? Yeah, it's a group decision. All right. To tell the truth, it was such a shock that we left her be for 3 years of your years with barely any communication or awareness sharing at all. So the shock that we had not come up with the idea of incarnated as a singular person in Inelia, did not come up with that idea, was so shocking that my we experience left for 3 years. I was just and I mostly didn't know how to function. I did not know how to function as a singular person. I didn't.
Which is translated to you're very poor at it.
Very poor, yeah. Can you express that a little? Yeah.
Like, functioning as a singular. Like, I guess, like getting in the car and going to the store and buying food. Yeah, not the highest thing on your list. Or you cooked me lunch one time.
I did not cook you lunch. I keep telling you that.
That was not lunch.
I cooked you protein.
You indeed
that you needed.
Did. You cooked me functional
protein
atoms and whatevers.
Yes, protein and carbs that you needed very badly because you were starving yourself.
Indeed, it was.
You needed a big dose of carbs and protein.
And nowhere in the list did it come in your mind that maybe that needed to be yummy.
No,
yes,
it did not.
It just needed function.
Yes.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
For you, the reader, the above sentences may be confusing. Or maybe not. Probably yes. The truth is that we are the main entity living on Earth as Inelia, and she is our creation. Not a creation in the sense of Almighty God who creates entities. We haven't met one yet, and we are eternal, both in time and space.
So if you haven't met one yet, you are eternal. That's a bit of a paradox, right?
It means they don't exist.
Okay. Thank you for translating that into human.
Translate that into humans. Gods don't exist and they don't create you.
It's good to know.
Good to know.
Data that maybe should come, a little sooner in your life, but you got it now. So let's just take it now.
Just taking a little drink of orange juice. Okay. So the main part of this paragraph is most people think the singular is the main creation. So you, Larry, is the main creation that does everything else. And if you were created, then it was by some sort of god or something like that.
A creator.
A creator.
Prime creator.
A singular being that created you, Larry, right?
Well,
a lot of people believe in that, Lord of my God Almighty or Lord, well, I don't know, created you and the human collective and whatnot.
And then they'll take that and they'll just turn that into a different word and then it's okay.
Yeah, they turn into universal consciousness, divine intelligence of the universe or source or whatever created you.
Where you come from is what created you.
Right.
But that's not necessarily.
No.
That's just
that's not actually
true.
accurate. So for me, we had no perception of singularity. And the perception was actually co-created, but created mainly by the we, through willingness and free will, through a process of becoming in the third dimension, like third dimension as in physical universe. So trying to translate that, it's like Larry was created by that collective consciousness that you existed as before you became a singular being on Earth inside a body or within a body or the body within you, depending on what viewpoint we're looking at it from. And to have that experience, you have to do it, right? Because otherwise you don't become. You're not singular, right? I don't think that made it any easier to understand, but it's like getting there a little bit.
It's cracking in through the edges of, because, you know, some of these things are fine to hear, but then when you try to pack them into your singular existence and how is that possible if simultaneously this is, they just don't, they're not matching. So from within this experience, it is very much like you were created, I suppose.
Right.
By somebody else, even though that somebody else was you and your mates.
It wasn't me and my mates. That's
not you individually, I'm talking about.
Oh, you. Right, okay.
So you didn't create you with you and your mates. You created you through curiosity and desire to have the experience that we were having.
Yeah.
We as in me and my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. For now, we will explain what we thought we were doing. And at some future time, we will explore and explain what we found that we were actually doing and why.
Okay.
Explaining our experience as we thought we were having it will, in our opinion, be more conducive to an understanding of who and what we are and what Inelia is.
Okay.
So do you see how when I'm expressing in a, like the we experience personality or whatever you might want to call it, I speak as Inelia in the third person. And when I'm talking as Inelia, I talk about the we in the third person. But that's not accurate. It's not an accurate depiction of my experience. It's more a translation so that we can distinguish between the two levels or natures of awareness and consciousness.
Okay.
Before Inelia's body was conceived, we would like to remind you that all humans are dual beings of body and soul. We worked for millennia, not an actual number. We use this word figuratively to give an idea of a very, very long time span from the perspective of someone who counts years and has very short lifespans. We don't count in years and we don't die. On a way to be able to experience life as a singular person, a soul and a physical body. Would you like to unpack that or no?
I think we'll just listen.
Okay. Why would we be interested in that? Because like you humans, we love to gather data and explore new things. In that sense, we are very similar and compatible in our goals and dreams. Let's go back to the beginning. A long time ago, in a space far, far away, we had the, quote, original, unquote, idea of having an experience of gathering information and experience of being a singular entity in a physical dimension. We became very excited about this, but we had one major problem. The human body, which is the one we wanted to have, although genetically altered to accept a soul, it won't accept just any soul. What is a soul anyway? And what is a soul that is compatible with a human body? All these are questions we had to investigate and work with. Okay, do you want to talk about that?
Well, I think that brings the obvious question to light, which is that not all souls are the same. And that would be an assumption, I think, that most of us would make. That
oh, yeah.
all the souls that exist are the same.
Can you think of...
Well, it's like one of those
okay.
realizations.
Let me,
not all souls are the same.
Right.
Okay, then from there, of course, truth it. Check it out.
Yeah. So a soul is a subtle body.
Not all subtle bodies are the same. Well, that's easy to say. Not all souls are the same. So you would think souls would think a thing.
Yeah.
We don't think of what it is. We think of what it's been told us it is, right?
Yes.
So
a soul is a subtle body, and not all subtle bodies are the same.
That's clear, obvious,
right?
And that makes sense.
Yeah. Subtle bodies are, let's say, have frequencies, right? And there's a range or within parameters of frequencies that can have an experience with a physical body.
Okay, makes sense.
Right? That can be integrated within both of them, within each other, and have an experience together.
Makes perfect sense.
And there's a lot of those. And that's why these physical bodies on Earth, in particularly Earth within the light-dark paradigm, the Power Over Others paradigm, they're tweaked in a way that can be altered.
Open sourced?
Yes. So that that range of frequencies can be broader, bigger, and can allow other frequencies of subtle bodies or souls to come in. Okay. And that's why so many people suffer from possession on Earth. They get possessed by different beings.
Okay.
Right. Anyways, let's go back.
Okay.
All these were questions we had to investigate and work with. A soul simply is. It is and always has been. It is not created and has always been as is. We are not a soul. We're more like a pasta strainer. Something that is more like a thing with lots of holes where we can look through, communicate with, and experience many dimensions, timelines, and universes. That's not a soul. Right? So this part I want to go into a little bit more because we just talked about how you, as a singular being, where you didn't create yourself as a singular being, right? Like if we could imagine the singular being being the soul. But it says here the soul always has been. It hasn't been created. So when I say, well, who created you? You say, well, the lights. It was like me and my mates, right? A collective awareness, like a group of souls, maybe. It's decided on a singular existence. Singular being well, deeply embedded into the illusion of separation between you and environment, you and other people, you and plants, you and animals, you know?
You and everything.
Yeah, you and everything else in that universe.
Even though you is a lot of things.
Even though you are the universe
yes.
at certain points, right? And also a lot of other things. So, yes.
Yes.
Problem number 1. Create a soul that can contain our awareness.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that. I hope you have a few millennia.
Yes. But souls are not created. So we needed something like a bit of a soul that was the same size of a regular human soul.
That you could borrow.
That could be used by us with some tweaking to embody at an awareness level. Do you see? What is an awareness level anyways?
Tell me, please.
A level of awareness is perception, right? What are you able to perceive and be aware of?
What band of experiences are you focused in on? Are you tuned into?
Yes, exactly. And can perceive and experience.
Tuned into to perceive, or else it would be, at a singular level, overwhelmingly too much data.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so this ultimately points to the fact that your soul is a
point of awareness,
subtle but physical item.
It's a thing.
Your soul is a thing. Yeah. And there's some research that people have done where they measure people at the point of death when people are terminally ill, and they have them on a weighing scale, and at the point of death they become lighter by several grams or whatever, or milligrams.
Yeah, I read about that
milligrams
too.
Or something.
It's been a while since I looked at that.
Yeah. So your soul actually has density. It's a physical thing.
It's subtle, but not non-existent.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, nothing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Are you lost yet?
Forever.
Don't worry, we will talk about this many times in many ways that I will eventually create an understanding of what we mean. Next, we borrowed, in quotation marks, a bit from a soul that is the size of an entire universe. We didn't think you would notice, but unfortunately, some years back, it did notice.
Well, we can reserve judgment on the fortunately, unfortunately part.
As it had never had contact with another of its kind, it now observes what happens to us, and now we are what might be considered this entity's child. Not a clone, as our awareness has already changed that bit of a soul that we took from it. And by bit, we're talking about something that is a millionth of a quark in size. So what is something that is a millionth of a quark in size?
Inconceivably not small.
And what is another word for the smallest part?
Quantum.
Yes, you got it. Give me 5. 5, right?
So you got a quantum bit.
Yes. In the quantum expression of universes, that we took a quantum part and brought it into the physical universe. Yay, what a great idea.
At least it wasn't your own.
We worked diligently with input and information from many species to link our awareness into that bit of soul. It worked. Once we had it in place, our awareness into that bit of soul, we started looking for a body that would host us. Bodies are picky, and most said no. You may not incarnate with us. Some said yes, but then died anyways, as we were not fully compatible to be incarnated yet. We say died anyways because all the bodies we approached were going to die either before birth or soon after. Their souls were marked to leave, and we approached these bodies with our proposal. Every time we failed, we went back to the drawing board to find out what was happening. We then figured out, with the help of what you might call an alien species, that our, quote, soul, unquote, vibrated at a slightly different bandwidth than what human's body had been created to host. So there's the bandwidth thing, okay? This alien species decided, again, what they thought was their original idea, to help us and provide us with some of their genetic material to tweak the body so that it would be able to host us. It basically made the body, the physical body, more subtle and able to withstand our soul's frequency. I have to say, though, for my physical body, my, in quotation marks, soul, it still burns. Like it continuously feels like it's burning because of the frequencies. It's able to host this construct of soul, but it's uncomfortable.
It's not comfortable.
It's not a comfortable thing, no. Okay, let's go back. We wonder if to give the details about why the body we have, Inelia has, was going to have experiences that would cause her death 3 times during the 9 months of gestation and a few minutes after birth. We feel the details are not conducive to further explanation by the reader, so we will not go into it. The result, however, was that we did approach the body and the soul it was paired with after 2 months from conception date, and she agreed to host us after her soul departed. She didn't agree at first, but we convinced her. We healed her from the 3 incidents during gestation and immediately after birth, so we could live, and she would live. We healed her again the other times she nearly died after birth and throughout her life. Do you want to talk about that?
Like you said, I don't know. It just opens a big pot. For examples, we healed this body, but why not the other ones?
Well, the other ones, they were not injured as per the soul and body agreement that they had previously. They said yes to the incarnation, but then the frequency was so incompatible that it killed the body anyway.
That makes sense.
Right. The body ejected the...
So all of the bodies that you approached were already being, I guess, not abandoned, but the trajectory of the incarnation was within the uterus or wherever you call it.
The pregnancy and...
They weren't ever going to be born.
No.
They were just incarnations in the womb.
There were a few that were born and died like seconds or minutes later.
Right. So they basically were all of the experience of being in a pregnant body.
Right.
However long that might have been. Or just barely leaving it.
Yeah.
And so the tweaking by the not humans, or the aliens that we would call them, I guess, are any aliens humans? Are there aliens who are also humans?
Yes.
Were these aliens humans?
They were not, no.
But they knew how to manipulate bodies to make humans?
Yes.
So they're aware of
how
what
to
a
do
human
it.
being is, but they aren't humans themselves.
No, they're just physical bodies, very subtle, but very physical bodies.
And good genetic engineers.
Yes, very well.
So the process of manipulating your body to host the we soul construct, was that were you conscious of what they did or how they did it or when they did it or any of those things?
Yes.
Is it a story that's interesting? Or is it, so share a little bit of that.
Okay. So you may or may not know, but the link between, or the agreement link between you and your physical body happens often before birth.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it happened after birth. We didn't have access to that in-between life space that humans go into or bodies go into. So ours happened after conception, not birth. After conception, once they were in the physical universe, the soul and the body, we were able to have conversations with them, right? And when we had agreements, and with this one, the agreement came in probably like linear time is just really, I'm just seeing the level of development and remembering my biology class that shows the fetus and how it grows in development.
What it looks like.
So probably 12 weeks around there.
That's right? Quite early.
Yeah. So around then, both the soul and the body said yes, agreed. And the soul was still there, by the way. The original soul. And then we brought in, through these other beings, and people have probably heard about experiencers and stuff like that now. Like people being taken into what they think are spaceships and, things done to their body or whatever. So our mother that was done to her.
Okay.
With her agreement, subconscious, right? It wasn't the first time. They had actually taken quite a few fetuses from her already. By her agreement and happiness. Anyways, this is very similar. It wasn't the same species that she had worked with in the past, but and within that, let's say lab, we could call it a lab or a prenatal clinic.
Pre-birth prenatal?
Pre-birth prenatal clinic kind of thing, Anyways, this genetic material is just data, information, data that a body can use and a soul can use for making choices of what they look like or what their experiences are, a physical expressioner. Okay. So data. So this other species put some of their data of subtleness, the physical subtleness of their experience of their nature, into the fetus that was in my mom.
Okay.
And that made the fetus more subtle. This caused a couple of things. It meant that it was harder to kill, because when you put something solid into something more subtle, it's harder to kill it.
Because it doesn't interact at a physical level the same way another physical.
Yes.
It's like stabbing jello instead of stabbing
a
steak.
Yes. Yeah, very good. So that had a side effect also, but also it meant that we could connect with, and at the time also with that soul. The other soul was just like, what else, right? And the body, and it wouldn't burn it up.
Got it.
Even though it wasn't exactly comfortable. Okay. So that's the part of, what they did and whatnot. Okay. So our first experience of being singularly incarnated was at birth. So the connection was there. And we have seen and perceived and had pregnancies also, that the soul and the body are united in one unit from conception. But the soul often goes on trips, goes off and might not have died in their previous life yet. So they have to hang out on that body with that body, So it's not like a solid connection yet. But once the body takes its first breath, the connection is solid. So existence for both the physical body and the soul in this incarnation starts at conception. But the autonomy, let's call it autonomy rather than incarnation, starts at first breath.
Okay. Interesting.
And if for any reason that baby cannot take a first breath at that physical body, then the connection cannot happen and the baby dies. Okay? Right. Our first experience of singularity was at birth. So it was literally when that autonomy happened, that's when we literally became one with the body. And it was different. Our physical body tried to tell us what to do and we ignored her. So we entered the body and didn't know what to do. It's like, okay, now what?
Now what?
How do I make it breathe, eat, move our hands, speak? All the things we see no humans do, right? The body tried to show us. And basically what our body was trying to show us was to say, this is a process we learn together. Because not two people are the same, not two people function the same, not two bodies and souls function the same and learn the same. It's not a uniformity thing. It's not here's the program and you just turn it on and it happens, right? It's actually something that you learn together. You create the program together to function. So the body tried to teach us how to be incarnated. But the truth was we ignored her. Mostly, and tried to do it our own way. It didn't have good results, but that's a memory for another day.
And I think that if you want to read ahead, you can read about that other day.
Yes.
In the We Talks.
Yes.
At Substack.
Yeah. So you go to blog.thewetalks.com and you're going to have this article that we just read through this podcast
called Pre-Birth.
Yeah, but you can also read some more. And if you're listening to this way into the future, there's also going to be podcasts for those other ones. And the next ones that are coming up are the next one is We Are Born.
We Are Born.
Then Meeting the Family.
That's funny. Then, I love the Meeting the Family.
Yeah. Then The Early Years. Then Whose Body Is It Anyways? Mm-hmm. And there's another one, actually, but it hasn't been published yet. So, Meeting Humans for the First Time. That's it. Yes.
So, get to it.
Yeah. And probably by the time you listen to this one, there might be more. So you can read ahead for sure. And then we can explore it in our podcast. And if you have questions, you can go, there's comments section on the wetalks.com. You can actually post your questions there that we can talk about in the podcasts. Okay. And sometimes even we will want to answer those. But only if they're interesting to the we.
Yeah. And the we have very peculiar interests as far as I'm concerned. The things they're interested in, you may not guess. Yes. And the things they're not interested in, you might find so interesting.
So interesting. They're so interesting. So fascinating.
So, give it a go. See what happens.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. Mm-hmm. And very expanding.
Yes.
Okay. See you.
See you. soon. Love you, darling.
Love you too.